Jared.
I didn't notice that.
Gary.
Good morning, everyone. We'd like to begin our Iron County Commission meeting this Monday, the 28th day of August, 2023. We appreciate your attendance at our meeting today. We'll begin this morning with a prayer offered by Rich Wilson, and then Stuart Somerville will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Our Father in heaven, as we gather together to conduct the business of Iron County this morning, we are grateful for the beauty of the day, and we are grateful also for the bounteous rain that we've received recently, even though in times it's affected those in not desirable ways. We are still grateful for the moisture. We're thankful, Father, to live in a free nation. We're thankful to be a republic, that we may discuss the affairs of our government openly. Now we ask, Father in heaven, that thou bless all in attendance, that they may be civil and that we may listen to one another and respect one another's points of views. We are grateful, Father, that thou hast instituted governments for the benefit of man. And these things we thank thee for in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. We'll go ahead and approve the claims for payment from August 14th, 2023 to August 27th, 2023. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move for approval of the minutes from August 14th, August 28th.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's the claims. I meant minutes. I'm sorry.
Well,
Approval of minutes. Yeah. So August 14th.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded to approve the minutes of August 14th. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now claims. Sorry. Approval of claims from August 14th, August 27th.
I would move for approval of claims for payment, August 14th, 2023 to August 27th, 2023.
Second. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll now go to our departmental reports. And just for the public, this is our 9 o'clock meeting. We go through departmental reports. Our main meeting doesn't start until 10 o'clock. So, but we're happy to have you participate. So we'll go ahead and go to our clerk, John Whitaker.
Good morning.
Morning.
So I wanted to just go over a few things. We received our last budget report in July, and our budgets are on track. The clerk budget is right on track, 58%, 56%. Elections are at 68, and sewer is at 52.81. Both the expense side and the revenue side seem to be coming in okay there. As you recall, each fall the auditor makes a projection, and so far they seem to be pretty close to on track, maybe a smidgen low. I want to talk a little bit about our elections budget this year. It's getting blown up in several different ways. We have the CD2 election with the resignation of Representative Stewart, and so there'll be extra expense there. But then we'll receive revenues from the state for that, and we'll also receive revenues from the cities for the municipal elections. Several entities are doing a RAP tax. We got word that the school district is also putting a bond on the ballot. So there will be, the accounting will be a little more complicated this year than usual, but we should be able to recoup most of those costs, with the exception of the county portion. There was also made available this year quite a bit of state money for equipment with some of the requirements now in the law. We're upgrading some security things and some improving some of the ballot storage equipment in our secure area. So those will be purchased and then reimbursed. But what I anticipate is there'll be we'll have to do a budget adjustment later because none of those things mean we spend less money. But we will get reimbursed for nearly all of it. What I intend to do once I understand those numbers a little better is come back before the commission and give a thorough report as to all of those inflows and outflows. The election is going well. We have our new printer, and the ballots seem to have gone out without much of a hitch. This is one of the more complicated elections that we'll do only because we have the complications of both party and municipal versus non-municipal and incorporated areas. Everything seems to be going well. They're actually setting up for early voting, which will be here all week in the courthouse. So I don't have much to report on the jail stuff. I know that there'll be some discussion later in the meeting, and we'll continue to kind of shepherd through that process as the county and the commission move forward through that. And, I appreciate. I have a unique place. I get to sit kind of right there, take most of the barbs, but there are times when I'm glad I'm sitting in my seat and not yours. That being said, I do feel strongly that the commissioners are bravely taking care of a difficult problem, and it's certainly not something that they would choose to do. As I've watched them agonize over how to approach this and try to give it, well, as the entire county is trying to give it our best effort and creativity to mitigate the pain on the taxpayers. With that, I will end. Do you have any questions for me?
Oh, thank you. Economic Development, Danny Stewart.
Good morning, Commissioners. Just briefly this morning, as you're aware, my last day in this position will be this Thursday, August 31st. It's been a tremendous honor working with you for the last nearly 9 years in this position. I appreciate so much your support, your help as we've been able to accomplish some really amazing things here in Iron County. Look forward to continue working with you on economic development in Iron County and this new position for Utah Port Authority, and anticipate that we'll be working together as partners as we continue to move forward and looking to build out that Iron Springs inland port area. Thank you for attending last week's groundbreaking ribbon cutting ceremony for the rail sink transloading facility. That's going to be hugely beneficial to many businesses here in Iron County. There are already several businesses using that. In addition to BZI Steel, there are lumber companies and others who are unloading materials that they have not been able to get off the rail until without the completion of this transload. So that will continue to benefit Iron County businesses and also companies from throughout the Western Utah. And we'll see as that continues to grow. We also look forward in the coming months to a similar opening of the Savage Railport facility that will offer even more of those services with companies that they're already working with and others from here in the county. Working on finalizing the Economic Opportunity Advisory Board's recommendations for this year's Rural County Grant Program. I was hoping to have that all finished up and ready to present this morning, but that will be on the agenda for the next meeting. Also included in that, we're looking at the options with the Rural Communities Opportunity Grant from the state, potentially addressing some of the needs on Iron Springs Road improvements there. So those are the main things we're trying to wrap up this week. You got any questions for me?
No, we're bummed that you're leaving. Kinda. No, we're, it's been a real honor to be able to work with you. Part of my role is in economic development, and look forward to continuing the relationship.
Yeah, we
It's been a
appreciate
different role.
Danny, we really do. I don't know whether everybody knows, but Iron County and Cedar City is partnered with Danny's position as economic development. And he's been just so crucial in everything that we've done in the past, 20 years? How long have you been here?
Some days feels like 20. We're coming up on 9.
Oh, 9. Seems like 20. He's done so many great things for the county, so I appreciate you.
Well, I please too. Thank you, Danny. Appreciate you. All you've done for us.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you. Emergency management, George Polson.
Good morning, Commissioners. So, I'll go to the budget first. You have it in front of you. My budget is well within its parameters, as always, so I don't foresee any problems. We don't have anything coming up that's going to change that, so the budget's good. So a recap of since last quarter, and I'm going to go through this quick because I've got one thing to cover at the end and some thank yous I wanted to make. So I attended the Governor's Public Safety Summit, which was a 2-day conference in St. George. We've been facilitating getting Narcan for law enforcement, and SUUPD specifically asked for some. And I want to thank Allie Ellman at Public Health for continuing to support law enforcement in the county in getting Narcan for us. I attended a Southwest Utah Public Health tabletop exercise. Rich and I inspected Bullock Dam with Rich. After reports of leaking, we went up to Bullock Dam, which is way out in the middle of nowhere, but we found it and it wasn't leaking. I submitted the runoff damage reports with note of intent to seek reimbursement to the state. No word yet, but they did send us, and I forwarded this on to the commissioners, that we were one of the counties that has now gone on to the next step. So the initial reports that I submitted have been accepted by the state, and now that will go on to the federal government to seek reimbursement for the expenses during runoff. Cedar City had a hospital exercise, an active shooter, which I attended and assisted in. I assisted SUUPD with radio questions. We conducted a regional tabletop exercise with the 5 counties in the region, which was it was very well attended. Attended the quarterly chiefs meeting, fire chiefs meeting. I met with the new tribal emergency manager. Excuse me. Submitted the emergency management grant request 2023 to state. The EMPG made the final 2022 emergency management grant report to state. Again, that's the EMPG, so we should be getting that reimbursement check from the state for that. Attended the Iron County Council of Governments meeting. Attended the Rocky Mountain Power annual wildfire meeting. I wrote the after-action report for the regional tabletop exercise, which is one of the state requirements for the grant, so I wrote that after-action report. The school district has a new emergency manager, met with him, discussed some of the at-danger schools in the county as far as earthquake, and we have several that are at-risk schools. Obtained some medical aid bag supplies for the sheriff's office, again thanks to Southwest Utah Public Health. I submitted a grant request for a camera system for the sheriff's office. I wrote that grant and then submitted it to the region. It's for a $45,000 eye in the sky mobile camera system that we can use for neighborhood watch, special events and things like that. I attended the county PIO meeting, exercise, met with Cedar Island's HOA about fire issues, and then ironically, a few days later, they had a fire, and we again met with them and talked to them about what they did wrong, what went wrong, and what we could do. And again, this Saturday, I'm going to be meeting with their HOA. A representative from Cedar Fire and I'm going to be up talking to the HOA about the things that they need to do to help us provide public safety for them. Provided Tyvek suits to the jail and the sheriff's detectives. Delivered light sets to the fair. Hope those are working out.
They work really well, thank you.
State came down. They do yearly inspections of all our dams, and we have quite a few dams in the county. And so I participated in the dam inspection with state for all of the Cedar Corporation dams. That's the ones we did this time. Parowan PD and Paraguna Fire asked for rubber gloves. I was able to bring those out of our COVID stocks and provide those with them. Commissioner Blake, Chief Dan Benson, and I are working with UCA to try to get an 800 repeater on one of the towers up there so that we can cover not only Bryan Head, but all the way down Parowan Canyon, which right now we have no 800 coverage on the mountain, and we have no 800 coverage down through the canyon, which is makes it a dangerous situation.
Do we have that scheduled for Friday, George, before I forget? Let me look at my, we're working on a call on Friday.
Yeah, sometime this week, and I haven't heard back from UCA,
Okay.
so, George?
Just want to make sure I had it on my calendar.
Are you piggybacking like on a cell site where you?
Yeah, it's the cell tower right behind the lift up there.
Oh,
And we're gonna put one on there, because that faces straight down Parowan Canyon. That'll give us a straight shot, and we should have 800 coverage for law enforcement, for fire rescue, and everybody straight down the canyon. So we're trying to get UCA into. They're the one who regulates those and who is the driving engine behind those kind of repeaters, and so we've got to work with UCA.
do we have 800 up Blowhard?
We've got cell towers we've got towers up there, but I don't think we have 800 coverage on Blowhard. I think we've got VHF, but we don't have 800. So I attended the senior officials workshop at SUU. So that covers most of it. And I filled a few sandbags. And that's where I'm going to come in with the thank yous. I want to thank Matt and Dan from the road crew. That first Thursday, which was 2 Thursdays ago, when we first started the push, and it went through Thursday through Sunday, really. Matt and Dan stayed till late at night and helped out, as well as did Grant. We had the hospital flooded and the jail flooded. I want to thank Bryce Thane and Mike Worthen for arranging for the skid steer to come down and assist the hospital. I did not want to lose my hospital. We'd already had to shut down the ED and the OR and Med-Surg and some of the rooms. I did not want to. I didn't want to lose any more of the hospital or for any more days. And they were great about bringing that skid steer down, loaning it to the hospital, and they took care of that. I want to thank Cedar Fire, because they brought the pumps up. They pumped out the jail. They pumped out the hospital. Cedar Fire did a great job. We thought we might need more pumps, so I brought up pumps from Hurricane Valley Fire, and from Hilldale. It turns out once they got up here, we didn't need them, but I'd rather have them here than and not need them than to be calling them at the last moment. Now I want to thank Commissioner Blake, who not only came out and gave his entire Saturday to filling sandbags, but also brought late night breakfast, which was really good. But, no, I really appreciate breakfast.
It was Sunday.
Was it Sunday?
I was lazy.
Okay, well, the days began to run together.
They taught me how to run the loader, so you're not the only equipment operator.
Oh, there you go.
That's therapy for me, Mark.
I'm
You'll
glad to
learn
know
it, it's
that.
good.
I'm glad to know that. We may need you.
Well, I'm not very,
Repair
not
or-
very proficient, but I can get sand in the hopper without
Well,
Breaking anything.
without hurting anyone or breaking anything.
I was sitting on the loader at 6 o'clock in the evening on Sunday evening loading, because Rob Dodson from Meeting had called me and said they were in desperate need of sand. So I said, come on over, I'll load your sand. They brought a dump truck over, and I'm sitting in the loader loading sand into their dump truck, thinking, I am so glad that I've got a master's degree, because that college education has opened up so many avenues for me, so many doors that wouldn't have been opened otherwise. But now I get to the, I really want to thank, and I'm going to embarrass him, but I don't care. Wade Adams stayed with me from Thursday till Sunday, and he was still doing it Monday. So I really want to say a special thank you to Wade Adams, who he stayed there the whole time, made sure the equipment was running, devoted his whole weekend to helping people fill sandbags. I just want to say thank you, Wade.
Raise your
Appreciate you.
hands. Raise your hand, Wade. Look at me.
He deserves it. I mean, these guys really worked their butts off. I mean, it was an impressive effort to try. You know, that one day I was there, and we were staying ahead about 10 sandbags to people coming and picking them up. I mean, it did a really good job.
Any questions of me?
How's your sand? Did you get
Well,
some
since
more?
we're not having any rain for a few days, we're good. But if it starts looking...
You have some still.
We have some still, but we may need some if the weather starts going out. We've still got some time.
Like I mentioned, George, we need to clean out that Schnepp pit when we've done all the recharge, and there's beautiful, it's just like beach sand, so it's close. When we need more, let's haul it from that pit, so we need to clean it anyway, that'll be perfect.
Well, we might want to think about building a beach, just in case California falls off. We've got the beach built when the water comes up this way.
Okay.
Anyway, thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, George.
Thanks, George.
Wade out of the fleet.
And sandbags.
Yeah, I warned George, I said, they're not, so that's gonna happen. Good morning, Commissioners. Police department's doing well. As far as budget goes, still under budget. Partly because the vehicles that we ordered last year we're still waiting on some of those orders, so. They've been ordered. Keep pushing vehicles other directions to retail and stuff like that, so I know other entities have had the same issue receiving vehicles. The maintenance on all the existing vehicles, those budgets are starting to go down, what we're saving. So we're looking at stuff, I've been talking to the Sheriff's Department on cuts on their budget for next year. So it's gonna get better as we get more vehicles coming in, but having these two new assistant mechanics, they're awesome. So they're very knowledgeable and hardworking, and that's David Utley and Kyle Dover, so they've been working out real well. There's been rumors of manufacturer strikes, Chevrolet and Ford and Toyota, and so we'll see what happens. It might get worse. As far as the Sheriff's Department goes on vehicles, we've pretty much got them caught up. Still got a few more for this year that I'd like to still get put in there. We'll see if maybe other F-150s come in this year. Road Department vehicles, the heavy duty trucks, they've still got an order in. They had to kind of do some tricky stuff to get those orders put in, but it's looking good right now, but we'll see. So, other than that, we got the new second lift put in the shop, we got that floor taken out. It was, concrete was 12 inches thick. We were thinking it was 8 inches thick with rebar on 1 foot center, so got that pulled out. So that would be over a little bit on that line item because that was so much thicker. So, and we got our garage doors changed out and they're working well. So other than that, the auction part of it still working on getting those on there. Sold one a couple weeks ago. Jeep for we actually want to give you some numbers on it, but we paid $28,000 in 2018 and we sold it for $23,100. So it was on, the auction prices are still doing pretty good. So
Wayne, just in our truth and taxation meeting, we had a couple of comments about, the sheriff's driving around new trucks and questions, and I tried to answer the best of my ability. Would you maybe for the public and for the record explain the theory behind our fleet? Well, maybe that and the difficulty of getting vehicles and the cost of having a newer vehicle versus repairs. Could you kind of cover that a little bit?
yeah, so we started out with this high turnover program just because the cost of maintenance that we go through, at least especially with some of the sheriff's department vehicles that they're kept for so long and the mileage going and the repairs become so costly. The amount of money that we spend on these is incredible just on repairs. So as we buy these newer vehicles, the government price and the government incentives that we get from these manufacturers is so much great that we can turn those trucks in 2 to 3 years and either break even or make money on that truck, leaving our cost of ownership to the taxpayers are either zero or just very minor. So that's the program we're working on right now. But it's been hard to get newer vehicles just with the way
with COVID.
So I think it started after COVID, and people weren't working, and the supply chain's really been hit hard, and so the parts are hard to get, and we're still struggling to get filters for vehicles. We're having to go out as many sources as we can to get them. The good thing is that we're able to use the cooperative contracts through the state, and so we get things a lot better prices than us as taxpayers we get it, and that's the benefit to all of us. So,
Well, you talked about the gas program also.
yeah, so that's the other thing we did is we switched our fuel program over to the state program, and so we're getting our fuel at a discounted price. Instead of just going to the retail sites, we're getting a big a big break on fuel prices there too. So we moved everything over that way, and so it's a great benefit. So.
It's been working well, right?
Yeah, it has been.
How long has it? That's been like a year.
It's been over a year now that we've been doing that. So with that and with the high turnover on vehicles, that's why we're able to buy newer vehicles like the sheriff's departments. I mean, it was we're anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000 below MSRP. I mean, in 2 to 3 years, we're not going to spend that much on those vehicles because we're going to be doing light maintenance, tires, brakes, anything that we do have that's major repairs is going to go to the dealership for warranty, so it's not going to cost us anything. So there's other entities that have been doing this for 20 years, and it's stupid not to do it. To get to work out. Doing a lot of things in house like that with the buying power that we have, we can save a ton of money for all the taxpayers. Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Before you go away,
Oh.
on behalf of Iron County and Iron County Emergency Management, I want to give you this certificate of appreciation and recognition of your exemplary work, dedication while serving the citizens of Iron County. Response to severe storms in flooding 2023. Thank you for your dedicated service.
Thanks again, Wade. Human Resource, Jennifer Bradbury.
Good morning. So we are currently under budget, currently at 53.3% overall this year. We do not foresee any current or anticipated budget concerns or issues for the remainder of this year. Since the last HR report, we've posted, interviewed, and hired 15 full-time positions and 6 part-time positions. We've had 7 internal promotions and transfers, and we're currently in the process of hiring 6 full-time positions and 1 part-time position. Points of interest, we've implemented a new evaluation software program called Express Evaluations. We've sent out links to employees a month early in order for them to kind of get acquainted to that new program because it's a little bit different. We've been using paper forever, and this has kind of been a good process to track current evaluations as well as anything that happens throughout the year. We can make little notes, which is helpful. So that's been nice. We'll be meeting with our insurance broker, NFP, next week to receive our next year's renewal information. We've had scheduled an insurance committee meeting also in the next couple weeks to send out a formal recommendation to you by probably October, that first commission meeting in October. So that'll be nice. We've scheduled an accident review committee meeting in the next week or so to go over all of the accidents that have happened within the county this year. We received information from our workers' comp representative that our 2024 experience rating hopefully is anticipated to decrease to 0.85, which will be down from the current 0.94. So if we have, I don't know where to, anyways, knock on wood, yes. Hopefully there are no more accidents within this year and we can stay there because that's, our goal is to be under 1, so 0.85 would be fantastic. We received a GRP refund from PEHP, our insurance, in the amount of $31,527. We turned that over to the auditor's office a few months ago. Calculating those refunds are based on 60% experience, 30% longevity, and then member engagement is 10%. So for reference, past rebates have been $81,912 in last year and $46,109 in the year before. We received a rebate from our workers' comp in the amount of $8,127.84. We turned that check over also to the auditor's office, and for reference, this rebate equates for 7% of our annual premium, so it's good to kind of stay within that good parameter there. Our past rebates have been $8,507.76 in last year, and then $4,725 in 21. And then last but not least, which is my favorite part to report, we've had some milestone anniversaries this quarter, celebrating 5 years. Is Clayton Smith's in the corrections side of the sheriff's office, George Colson, who just got his plaque, and then celebrating 10 years, Josh Winder in patrol, sheriff's office, and then 15 years, Anna Teeples in the sheriff's office patrol, and last but not least, outside, 20 years, Shalon Shaver, sheriff's office, or corrections. So I just love our employees, so I think that's really important to give them that recognition. So do you have any questions for me?
You gave your report on human resources. I want you to talk about human recourse. That's the...
Oh no! You're going to call him out on that. But in all honesty, I have spelled it wrong before too, and I'm in the field, so I'm not going to... Yeah.
My wife taught piano for many years, and she had many piano rectals.
Yeah, right. Instead of recitals, yeah.
It's a word. It doesn't
It's
show
a
up
real
with the
thing.
spell check.
It's a real word. Yes.
We need to lighten things up.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Oh,
it.
thanks, Jen, we appreciate you.
All right, Public Defender, Candace. I reached out, Candace is awesome. I reached out to her this week on an issue, and she's very responsive and just does a fantastic job.
I appreciate that compliment. Good morning, everyone. Not a lot to report on our budget. Things are going well. In preparing for today, in between, I guess, for preparing and then to today, we did have a couple of our public defenders give their resignation. So within our office, we'll be working to replace those. We do have a 60-day clause, so we do have some time to work on that. But at any rate, hopefully, we can just pick up some new good qualified attorneys and hopefully work well within the courts. So I will be back to report on that. It was Cliff Gravett and then Troy Sunquist who's stepping down. But again, our budget looks fine. Something that was different or I guess new to us is the Title 4E funding, and I worked with had a conversation with Lucas in the last month to discuss how we will be, handling those are some reimbursement grants that are owed to us for the money that the county spends towards child welfare, and so I'll be working with Lucas on that. But no concerns from us other than those two. Any questions?
You say 60 days, so they basically have to give us 60 days notice?
They do, yes.
We have that much time to refund it.
Sure, yeah.
That's good.
It is good. It's not, it's a little tricky, with the transition as opposed to other jobs because there is some work preparation that has to happen and
They're on cases.
they're on
that they
cases,
have
trials
to-
are already set,
Yeah.
so that's why it is so lengthy, but we've been able to handle transitions before, so we'll be able to make something work. So.
Very good.
Thank you, guys.
Candace.
Thanks, Candace. All right, commission reports. You want to go first?
Sure. We've been busy in the road department. They're out on the Hart Road today, chip sealing that road. They've been preparing it for a couple of years. And then we'll do 4100. We'll chip seal that one also. We had hopes to be able to do 7700, but we had so much damage from the winter storms and that we're not going to be able to do that one. We'll probably do that one next year. I wanted to talk a little bit about Three Peaks recreation area. We was able to get some more land from the BLM to be able to clear, and because we're having some big bike races come in there. The regional one, which is I think this month, there'll be 1,200 people come. Those folks probably will stay in our motels and restaurants, and that always helps our communities because that brings outside money into our communities. The state one that's in October, and that's what we really needed the new parking lot for. 4,000 people will be coming in for that race. And there's several other events that they have like that are really great because they do bring outside money into the community. Of course, we had our Truth in Taxation on the 15th, and I'd just like to say that I really appreciate those that were respectful for us. This is a hard job, and there's a lot of misinformation, and I hope that that we'll be able to clean some of that up going forward. Paul's going to give a presentation, and we'll talk about that in the 10 o'clock meeting. Paul and I ran out to Enterprise and spoke to the gardeners out there. We are in a trade with them for some property, for some gravel property, a 10-acre piece for like a 17-acre piece, and it's fabulous gravel. It's going to be such a good deal, but we need access across to some of their other property, and she was a little reluctant to give that, so we went out there and met with them, and she said she was willing to do that. We would actually make a county easement so that other property owners behind would have access to their property too. On the 22nd, we had the Commerce Crossroad ribbon cutting out to Iron Springs, off the Iron Springs Road. The BZI, it's an 800 acre facility, and it's the first Utah Inland Port Authority project area in rural Utah, and we're really excited for that. I think that's going to bring jobs in to where our children and grandchildren will be able to stay here to work. There was also a groundbreaking. I don't think any of us went to it, but the Governor Cox came to the BZI one. He also went to the groundbreaking for the East Zion. They're making a new visitor center there. We had other stuff, so we wasn't able to go to that. And then Paul and I went down to St. George had a ribbon cutting for their crisis center. It's the Washington County Crisis Stabilization Center. It's so that those folks that are having mental or drug type events can be taken in there and they'll get them some help. And this is this has been a long road to get something like that. And it's for the 5 county. So we are able to use that from Iron County. The challenge is to get people transported down there, but the families are able to take those folks down there, which will be fantastic for us. You know, when I've got a good friend that has a son that has had some of these issues, and it's been really, really devastating, and she just doesn't feel like she can get the help that she needs. And this is going to be really a great tool for those kind of folks that are having mental health issues. Of course, the fair is going on. The Demolition Derby was on the 19th. The monster truck was last Saturday night. I wasn't able to go. I had my granddaughter got married, and I was very involved with that. But Paul went and said it was a really great event. The carnival starts on the 31st through the 4th. The Little Britches Rodeo is the 31st. PRCA Rodeo, and there's much, much more. And there's, if anybody needs, any information about the fair, these are downstairs on the table. If you want to pick one of those up, they have all the dates of all the events happening, the exhibits and the dances and all of that. But we're really excited to be in the fair time. I love the fair, so anyway, that's all I have today.
We've, as a group, and not just the commission, but many others, been working on issues concerning the jail and concerning what we're going to do moving forward. That has taken up a bunch of time over the last couple of weeks. We did have some flooding. George talked about that. Was involved in kind of flood mitigation with the jail, sandbags. We all kind of, every time we have those type of issues, we all work together. And George covered that. I was going to thank Wade again personally, but Wade's already been embarrassed and thanked and given a certificate from George, so we'll leave him alone. He's still out there. He's still out there. I was trying to get his, but he's not looking. We still working towards forming a county EMS committee. We talked about that a little bit in the last commission meeting, but that's moving forward with working with Sam and make sure that we're in compliance with some of the new regulations that the legislature passed this last session. George talked about our communication issue with Brian Head. What George said. The BZI ribbon cutting, the Commerce Crossroads ribbon cutting, wanted to publicly thank some folks involved in that. I truly believe that this project will be as impactful on Iron County as the iron mines were back in the day. This is a really big deal. I'm going to bring the opportunity for growth and expansion in a very well planned out way to give our economy a boost that is going to last for generations. James Barlow at BZI has worked tirelessly. It's been a lot of fun to work with these guys through this project. Danny Stewart, and he's probably gone, but Danny, as our economic development director for the last 9 years, is literally responsible for bringing over $1 billion of industry into and infusing into our economy. Danny was crucial in this project. Ryan Obrey with BZI, Guy Nielsen with BZI, Spencer Douglas, Chief Marketing Officer, and Brooke Twitchell, their new event planner with the group. She put that whole project on. It's been really fun to work with that group, and I'm excited about it moving forward. That's going to really make an economic impact that we haven't seen with anything else. We hosted the Belgian Waffle Race this last weekend. We had over 600 riders from all over the country and internationally in a bike race. We also had the Iron Games, which is the CrossFit section of Utah Summer Games, and both of those events are supported in part by our TRT and TRCC funds from the county. It's great to have that much participation to infuse that money back into the county, back into our hotels and restaurants. We met with the CJC this week. We're still moving forward on building plans there. We're still waiting for engineered plans, and then once we get those engineered plans, we'll be off to the races on that project. The VOCA grant applications have all been turned in. Really proud of Wendy Jessen, kind of retooling that whole system and being able to bring our expenses way down. We've actually asked for a lot less VOCA funding, just for the fact that we've been able to streamline the process. She's done a really good job in managing that and bringing us and making sure that we stay in compliance with the Victims of Crime grant program. She's worked really hard. I'm really proud of those guys. Dancing with the Community Stars is coming up in November. They've got some committed dancers. Again, it'll be it's just a fun event every year to be involved in that. One last thing, I spent some time with Stephen Lisenby from the governor's office the other day I drove him around to some first responders, both homes and work, and to catch up with people who were involved in a pretty horrific incident that happened earlier this year, to make sure that they had some personal recognition from the governor's office. We spent half a day tracking some folks down to just make sure that they had a token from the governor in appreciation.
Is that the unique?
Yeah. Yes. So we spent some time. It's hard to get a group of cops together, first responders, because they work weird shifts and everything else. So I drove Stephen around. We visited homes and offices. We tracked everybody down, and I thought that was very kind of the governor to recognize the efforts there and just provide a little personal token for the governor. So we spent some time doing that this last week as well. That's about it.
All right, thank you. I did a few things. These two always cover half the stuff I was talking about.
It's the best thing about being the chair is you don't really have to. Everybody else covers everything else. You don't have to talk very much.
I did want to talk about the receiving center that Marilyn and I went down for the ribbon cutting. I serve on the 5-County Board of Health and Behavioral Health. And health, but this is dealing with behavioral health. But this is such an awesome thing. We appreciate our neighbors to the south, Washington County, who donated the property for this building to sit on. And they're just, the commissioners down there are so awesome to work with, and appreciate them. This is a facility that's so needed. When somebody's arrested, and you guys are law enforcement know way more than I do, but my take on it is that they either take them to the emergency room of the hospital or jail, and there's no in between. And this is the in between. This is where somebody, if they agree to get help they need, they can take them down to this receiving center and receive help. some of the mental health and different things they might be struggling with and get out of those crises. And so the challenge is transportation. Anybody in Iron County is welcome to use that facility. It's just a matter of you're welcome to take loved ones, and if you're having a crisis in your home with a loved one, you can take them down to this center and drop them off and receive help. It's a little challenging for law enforcement because it takes officers out of their shift to take them down there. But what really hit me was you can take, Mike could address this better, but it seems like one of the law enforcement guys was saying that it takes so long to do the paperwork if they take them to the hospital that you can almost drive them down there and drop them off in 5 minutes and get back, and it's faster than you can fill out the paperwork. Is that right?
Good, yeah.
So
between paperwork, you have to go to the jail. A lot of times they'll send you to the hospital. You go to the hospital, wait your turn at the hospital, turn around and come back to the jail. I mean, really, it takes to get a medical clearance and get somebody booked into jail. That takes hours. It really does. It takes at least a couple of hours on a fairly easy case. And so, well, go ahead. I've got something else to say after you're done with your spiel.
That's a purgatory. I don't know whether I didn't say where was that is. It's down by the Washington County Fairgrounds, there by the arena and
DMV, right there.
DMV and all that stuff right there.
But it's going to be awesome for all 5 counties: Beaver, Iron, Kane, Garfield, Washington. Marilyn mentioned this. I attended the demolition derby and the monster truck. They were both both awesome. Just a congrats to Susan and her staff and all the volunteers. We appreciate them. I don't know if I'll get dinner tonight, but my wife and grandsons were cheering so loud for those monster trucks Saturday night. I told Mary when I drove home that I think I'm married to a redneck, and so if she hears this, I might not get dinner. But we had a lot of fun. It was just really enjoyable, and I think it'll grow. That event's the one that they've added, and I think word will get out and it'll be even bigger and more successful next year. These two have covered the other stuff. I did want to mention one thing about the BZI Crossroads ground ribbon cutting. I agree with what's been said about this being, and I think the word turning point has been used years ago. I'll digress a little bit. Years ago, just probably, I think it was about 1998, Mary and I went back to a wood show. I'm a cabinet maker by trade. We went to a wood show in Atlanta, Georgia. And it was about a 3 or 4 day wood show, and it gets kind of boring sometimes. And so we thought we'd slough the wood show one day and go tour Atlanta, Georgia. And we came across a museum that was called Turning Points, and it was a Civil War museum. And we thought we'd pop in there for an hour, look around, and leave. 5 hours later, we left that museum, and it was so gripping that it was really the theme of the museum was the turning points in the Civil War and what affected the outcome of our nation. And just so many things in there just really touched us. And like I said, there was a spirit there that just grabbed a hold of us, and we couldn't leave. And that really that's what's happening in Iron County with this Crossroads. We cut a ribbon, but this really is going to have a huge impact. It's going to allow us to have good paying jobs. Our kids can maybe stay here, and that's been our greatest export in some of these rural communities is our children. And this is going to give us an opportunity to keep them here and give them opportunity to have employment, raise their families in our areas. So just kudos to Danny, Stewart, Mike, and everybody that worked on that so hard. And as we move forward, that really is a turning point in our county, and it's going to be a real blessing.
Can I just say one more thing? I just wanted to mention one thing kind of historically is, we've got this new mental health facility. 20 years ago, the same concept was employed with our children's justice centers across the state. We had a couple of children's justice centers. Our Iron County Children's Justice Center was one of the first in the state. Skipping ahead 20 years, those facilities are for forensic interviews and the beginning point of investigation for child abuse and sexual abuse cases. I really think that this receiving center, mental health receiving center, I would hope that we see the same thing. In the Children's Justice Center, we now have all 29 counties in the state serviced by a Children's Justice Center. I think that we're going to see the benefit of the receiving center, and hopefully in years to come, we're gonna see each county have its own receiving center and be able to really be a facility that can help facilitate mental health emergencies instead of just taking them to the hospital or just taking them to jail. I really foresee that this is going to be
They actually keep them like for 3 days, and they get all of the folks that can come in and help them, and get them assigned to people to really help them. And I think I just am praising that so much. I think it's going to be awesome.
Oh, it's really cool.
Been a long time coming, but it's great to have it done. With that, we'll close this portion of the meeting and resume our next meeting about, let's take about a 10-minute break, about 10 after 10. All right, we'll resume our county commission meeting. We appreciate all of your attendance today. For those standing in the back, we have some seats in the front here still available if you'd like to come up. 30-second delay. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to change the agenda a tiny bit. We're going to move agenda item number 2 to the first. I know that's probably why a lot of you are here. I've got some remarks, and they're going to be a while, so get comfortable. And then we're going to have public comment on that agenda item, on agenda item number 2, and then we'll have our public comments for other issues in the county after that. Okay? So we've still got some seats up front here, guys. If anybody, there's a few empty seats. If anybody needs some, we could probably even squeeze a few more chairs in if we need to. So first of all, I want to just talk for a minute about our Truth and Taxation meeting. It was 5 hours, and appreciate everybody's comments of that meeting. There was one apology I want to make because I should have been vocal in the meeting. The sheriff took some folks through the jail on a tour, and they came up, why were you upset about this whole issue? And they said they were upset with Commissioner Cousins. And they said, why? And they said, because he was so callous that he took a phone call during the meeting. And I just wanted to explain that. I should have been better about explaining it to the audience, but what I was doing is there was several that were concerned about that it was really cool in that room. You probably could have hung a beef in there, honestly. It was so cold out, they could go home. But that wasn't the truth. I was actually calling building maintenance and asking them to turn the air conditioner off so people were so cold. Anyway, that was my apology. So, just to clear that up. We all live in Iron County and we love it. I know that there's a lot of folks, I didn't recognize a lot of people that spoke in that meeting. I think that there's a lot of people that moved here because they love our quality of life and what we're all about, our values. And part of this whole debate with the new jail in Iron County is focuses really on what level of crime we want to tolerate in our county. And the sheriff can address this more if he talks about this. But this jail issue has been kicked down the road long enough. These are tough decisions. These are not these seats right here. They're not always the funnest thing to do. And we didn't, as commissioners, we didn't wake up one morning and say, "Hey, let's raise taxes." That's not what we did. We've been talking about a new jail for a long time. There's been some concerns with the public that this has been a rash decision, that we just barely thought of it, and we just decided to raise taxes and build a new jail. And I'm going to go through some timelines and talk about this for a little bit. And John, if you could put up that number sheet that Shalon sent me. Shalon is our jail commander. She does an amazing job. She sent this to me some time ago. When we look at the jail in Iron County, jails are a constitution. It's required that the county provides a county jail. And we provide that jail for all different entities in the county. Not only Iron County, but we provide that for our municipalities, Cedar City, Enoch, Parowan, Bryan Head, who else is that? That's SU, Highway Patrol. As they arrest, you see the arrest on I-15 for the drug bust, for different things. We provide that facility for all of these entities. And my point is, this is not an Iron County Commission problem. This is all of our problem. Because if you look at those numbers, Cedar City Police, and I can't even read that, so I'll have
756 and 13.
In 2022, in 2022, Cedar City had 456 bookings, and Iron County had 287. And Iron County, that would be all of the unincorporated area of Iron County. So Cedar City, and the year before that, 21 was about equal, but then before that, in 2020, it was. So really, Cedar City proper has a lot of use in that facility, and we don't charge booking fees for these other entities. We don't charge for them to bring those inmates that they've arrested in their towns, and we don't charge them for that. It's not something that we can do or necessarily would do. So I want to give a little bit of history of how we got to this point. We started getting serious about a jail, and we've been talking about this for 10 years in Iron County at least. And we can turn that, hey Jared, would you turn that screen? Jared, would you pull that screen so the public can see it better? Is that better, folks?
Yes.
We could do that one too. If you guys would like to go up and just pull that forward, maybe you guys could see that better. Thank you. So, when I ran for commission, I was elected in 2019, and we were we usually do our budget talks in the fall. In that year, we started talking about a jail. At that time,
Would you be more?
we had about $1 million to about $1.5 million in savings. Each year, we had that much left in our budget. And rather than do a tax cut, we decided to rat hole that money away for the purpose of building a jail. We knew we needed one. We knew that it was in disrepair and needed to build one. So we started tucking that money away and started saving it. And our plan was, Dan Jessen was our auditor at the time, and Dan had this figured out. He said, guys, it's going to be tight, but I think we can, with the money we save for a new facility and that excess moving forward, I think we can make a bond payment with that money. And then COVID hit, right? And we've all seen what happened with COVID. So we saw trillions of dollars being printed, and that was a lot of free money. Well, we've all realized that that money wasn't free. We're paying for that money, so-called free money, with inflation. And so that's something, Iron County, none of us cause inflation, but we're all dealing with it. And I think we've all seen that. If you bought a sticker car, I went and got a haircut last week, and I'm getting pretty ragged. And I went and got a haircut, and and that's a pretty good bellwether for what the public's thinking, right? If you ask the barber what people are talking about. And I asked him, I said, because Iron County hasn't raised taxes in over 20 years. It's been more than 20. We're not sure when we raised taxes last. And I asked the barber, I said, what were your haircut prices 20 years ago? And I think we decided they were about $6 or $8 for a haircut. Now they're 19. Okay, so so the county is basically, when we did the Truth and Taxation meeting, 15% of that increase